Hey, hey, hey! Enlighten22 here, and we are back at the witch farm. The first thing we're going to get done this episode is see all this water around us. We're getting to business, straight to business, down to work, no playing around. No, we're always playing around. It's a game for crying out loud. But we're back at the witch farm, clearing out all of this water, because the TNT, as fun as it is, as useful as TNT is, it just doesn't do well with water. So now I've got a stack and a half of sponges to play around with. And I've actually never used sponges before, so let's do some experimentation with them together. Let's try one right here. Oh, okay. That is a problem. That is a really big problem. Okay, well, I was expecting to just run around, sit down sponges, and be like, ooh, sponges everywhere, and clear out all this water, but apparently when it turns into a wet sponge, it stops soaking up the water. That sucks. That really does suck. Well, I see why. I was wondering why people were so disappointed about sponges before, and now I see why, because they're really not that good. Alright, they're still a bit faster. Okay. They're still definitely faster than just doing everything, clearing out all the dirt by hand. So I was talking with Mew. He was saying you need to make 5x5 squares. I didn't understand what he was saying at that moment, but I think I get it now. So I'm assuming he meant just like 5x5 grid. Ah, well, that really sucks. I had myself all hyped up for this crazy sponge placing and getting everything cleared out. Okay, that makes sense. Here's the progress we've made. As you can see, lots of little pock marks all through the land where I used all the sponges. Well, one issue though. I'm drying off the sponges now, and that is the last of my coal. So I'm going to go down speed mining for coal and also for cobblestone, because we'll need that for the Forgotten Fort. While we're down here, also while doing the mining, I'm going to be digging out a perimeter around here just to try and keep any TNT from blowing up our tunnel. Because that would be bad. That wouldn't be fun. While we're doing that, I want to try out something new though. Enlighten musing, or whatever we want to call it. That's just what came to my mind. Basically, I'll just talk about what's interesting to me at the moment. And of course, if it's interesting to me, it must be interesting to all of you. That's how it works, right? No, that's sarcasm. I understand. So for that reason, if I remember, I'm going to stick an annotation up at the top of the video so that you guys can skip this to the next part about Minecraft, because this isn't for everyone. I get that. And today I just wanted to talk about action movies, because I love action movies, and I just watched John Wick. Great movie, really good, highly recommend it. But basically what I'd like to talk about with the action movies is just my opinion on them, because I really am interested in what makes movies good. So my opinions on them, why I like them or don't like them, and give you some suggestions, because it's always nice having good movies to go watch. I'm always curious and want good movies to watch as well. So if you have any good action movies for me to watch, or just good movies in general, leave them in the comments and I'll check them out. So, where I'd like to begin is just the recent blockbusters. The two recent ones that I can think of are Age of Ultron and Mad Max. I thought Mad Max was absolutely fantastic. It didn't treat the audience as if you were stupid. It sort of stuck you in this world and let you learn the rules of the world. And it was just a fun movie, fast-paced, gritty, very visceral action, just really good. Age of Ultron, on the other hand, I was not the biggest fan of. I don't know, just most of the Marvel movies just aren't that great. I don't think, because a couple reasons. The big thing is I feel like the action feels more flat because it's just too fantastical. And it gets really boring and repetitive. Age of Ultron felt even more so, just because there's only so many times I can see Thor hitting people around. Like, yay, he hit 100 enemies a mile away. Isn't that exciting? That's just how I felt. Another interesting thing I read about it, which definitely I feel like explained a lot, was Age of Ultron. Well, those sorts of movies, the more talking there is, the worse it does in international markets. So something like Mad Max, where there's a little bit more character interaction, won't do as well in international markets because you lose some of that in translation. So a big budget movie like Age of Ultron does better, makes more money, which is obviously what studios care about, by just ignoring the action, or just doing action and ignoring less about the characters and less subtleties of that. These are more my recommendations now. My favorite, just fun action movies that I can just sit back. I've watched all of these a number of times just because they're fun, over the top, and ridiculous in the best kind of way. Blade, Resident Evil, and Underworld. If you haven't seen all of those, at least, I'd recommend the first two Resident Evil movies, the first Blade, and the first Underworld. I've seen all of them. I enjoyed all of them, but the ones I just listed are definitely the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop! I can't quote him. Wow. Hulk Hogan? Not Hulk Hogan. Wrestlers. I don't know them. Okay, but yes, those are just fun movies. Just lots of over-the-top action. Like Resident Evil. Killing lots of zombies. What's not fun about that? Then there's your more gritty action movies, like John Wick. John Wick is brutal. If you haven't seen it, be prepared for just absolute brutal action. But it's really, really good. Another one that John Wick actually reminds me a lot of is The Man from Nowhere. It's a Korean film, Korean action film, very similar to John Wick, very brutal, very visceral action, and very good. It is subtitles if you aren't okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with subtitles if it's a good movie. That actually brings up another thing. Korean action is ridiculous. I read something where they were talking about how it's probably because of their proximity to North Korea. So a ridiculous situation for us is not ridiculous to them because they're right next to North Korea where they're constantly under the threat of war. But it is just brutal, ridiculous action. I've also saw Snowpiercer. I know that's on Netflix. So I'm with Man from Nowhere. A cool movie. Definitely not as good. Then your probably last type of action movies are your martial art movies. And I really enjoy Chinese martial art movies. You have to, I feel like to enjoy them though, for most of them, you have to put yourself into the mindset that you're watching it as an art or like a performance rather than for the action. There's, I think it's called Hero. There's one in particular, one of those movies in particular, that is just beautiful shots. It has this beautiful Chinese music with every fight scene is based on a color. So one of them is like a fight scene in a fall forest where all the leaves are orange, and there's a lady with a big orange gown billowing behind her, and everything's orange. There's another one that's on a lake, and everything's blue. Oh, didn't mention, this is one of those with wires. So, no, the action's a bit of suspension of disbelief, but it is beautiful cinematography and just a wonderful movie if you watch it for the artistic value. And that's how I feel a lot of Chinese action movies are. Now, as your standards, Jackie Chan is amazing. He just combines comedy and action like no one else. Bruce Lee's your classics. He's really fun. And if you haven't seen it, It Mon's a recent one. I know a lot of people have seen that, though, but it's a great movie if you haven't seen it. Enjoyed the second one as well. It was basically the first done again, which was perfectly fine. And then Tony Jaa is another fun action. I don't know what martial art he is. Not Muay Thai. Maybe? I don't know. But he is a really fun movie. On this most glorious day, I have brought you here for some speed sponging. Some speed sponging. What we're going to do, well, what I figured out as clearing out this, especially with deeper water, this water is about 6 blocks deep. Rather than making that little 5x5 grid, actually with it being this deep, it would have to be a 4x3 grid, and then you place one sponge. That's a ton of dirt. Not as many sponges, it's most efficient on sponge usage. I'll do this, speed sponging. Basically what I'll do is put a sponge up high on either side, alternating really fast as I'm going down here. That way it'll suck up water, and I'll be able to suck up all the water before it refills. And I do that at the bottom layer as well. So I start at top so that it doesn't flow, because take out the top layer, then bottom. Like so. Let's see how this goes. I'm bad at this. Only done this a few times. Give me a break. Now, obviously, it uses more sponges. There are more efficient ways to use the sponges, but this is much, much faster than using up a ton of dirt and having to place all that dirt down. And once I finish this up, I'll just have to clear up the sponges and make another wall. There we go. And still, that was just over 16, that was 20 sponges, which is a fair number, but we have unlimited coal, so that's perfectly fine, and I'd rather wait to cook up some sponges. And even while they're cooking, I can start preparing the next barriers. So yep, if you have to clear out deeper areas of water, I highly recommend this method. And if you have a decent number of sponges. I'll get back to it. And I'll come back to you once this is all done. We're getting there. It's coming along. After using the speed sponging for this whole section, I'm getting a little bit better at this. I just wanted to show you the improvement, show that it is a bit more efficient than what I did before. So the one big thing, rather than standing up here and running around, trying to shift click, hop over sides, you just sit under here, run along, and just click on the sides. Just do. And if you pretty much need Depth Strider for this, but with Depth Strider you can run full speed, so that works well. Let's try this out, and hopefully I don't choke under pressure. If you can tell, I'm going to try and clear out all of this with these 14 sponges. I'm getting a bit more confident myself. So basically I'm just clicking both sides really rapidly, and we'll make it the whole way down. That one didn't even get used. And, yep, Ronaldo's giving me a beacon, which is absolutely awesome and very helpful, because he has over 40 apparently. I wasn't quite able to do this with 14 sponges, but the other one that was about half this size took me 20 sponges. So as you can tell, definitely getting a little bit more efficient with it. The water has all been cleared out, and boy has this seemed to become a trend. This was much, much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's been 2 days since the first clip of this episode. Actually, over 2 days. Because this took so much time to do. I can't express how much time. I've put pretty much all of my Minecraft time in the last 2 days has been to clear up this water. So that's part of why this has been a kind of weird episode. But, yeah, that's done. So, what I learned from it, we're going to make this crater much, much more slowly. I'm not going to try to blow out an entire crater in one episode, because that's just takes too long and won't be interesting for you guys. So next episode we'll definitely be going back to the fort, doing some of the little faster projects. Something else also adds breaks from doing this. I added a portal in. I actually finished up this entire room. Added a portal, so moved it from down there to up here. add these little display cases of glowstone and redstone, just a nice little filler, and ender pearl elevators. So what these are is ladders with string over it, so if I shift click, I'm shifting right now, I don't go down. And I mirrored it on both sides, so to get down, I just run into here, and just drop straight down. If I want to stop, I shift, and then to go up, I'm holding shift right now, and I throw ender pearls up. And then I move off, and a little bit glitched. There we go. That's our elevator. So, yep, got all of the water cleared out, and got this part finished up. So all that's left with the witch farm is to clear out a big crater over here, which will just be a lot of TNT, and that'll be a long-term project. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.